switch your Zoom preview to speaker view. Today's meeting will last about 40 minutes, and to start off with the program, we will have a quick 5-minute community open mic session where I will be calling out some of your names. If you can, introduce yourself and tell us what company you're from, and yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, basically. So I see here actually Karina Romero. Good morning from Canada. I'm based in Western Canada right now. Whereabouts are you? Can you unmute yourself?
Hi, Liz. How do you do? I'm at Ecuador, actually.
What company? What company are you working from?
Tolepo.
Oh, Tolepo.
And Ecuador. Yeah.
Nice. So you do freight forwarding services as well?
Yeah. Well, actually, Tolepo is a company of an operator logistics at Ecuador, Torres and Torres Group. So we're a freight forwarder, and then we have also our own companies of trucking company, stevedores, inland transportation, and warehouse and distribution.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, Tolepo is freight forwarder.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much for your introduction. I see here Timo Friedrichs. Hi, good morning, Timo. Could you please unmute yourself? Hi, Timo.
There you go. Thank you. Good morning. Yes, my name is Timo. I work for Border Logistics in Chile. So we're part of this Latin American team with Karina. And our company is a freight forwarder, basically. We provide the standardized freight forwarding services, FCL, LCL, air freight. And we've recently invested and started moving and participating in e-business, in e-cargo, Amazon style, let's say, for the competitor of Amazon in Chile.
Yes.
And it has worked out quite well. We're doing the last mile. So it's been an interesting challenge in this last year, especially with all that's happening. So we can say we're on the way to growth, which is always interesting. We're a small team of 20 plus, and the company is a bit over 12 years old.
Nice, very nice. Thank you. Thank you very much for your introduction, Timo. I would like to ask Maria Cristina. Hi, good morning. How are you? Which company are you from and where are you based?
I am from Argentina, from Sigma International Logistics, freight forwarder, and also of Japan brokerage and distribution and logistics. We can provide services from all our country, mainly in Mendoza and Rosario and Córdoba. We can offer all services, air and
yes.
ocean.
Thank you. Thank you. We are having a little bit of difficulties with your audio, Marina. We can't hear you very well, but thank you for your quick introduction. I will move on now, as I cannot see anybody else here on my video screen. If you would like to introduce yourself quickly, please turn on your video. Otherwise, I will move on with the rest of our program. The next section of our conference today, or of our familiarization meeting, actually, we will be introducing to you who we are and what the CLN network is all about, with this very short network video introduction for you. On behalf of the Combined Logistics Networks team, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our familiarization conference. My name is Niels. I'm one of the directors and co-founders of the CLN. Before I begin with introducing the CLN to you, I will guide you through the agenda for today. Today's program will last about 40 minutes or so with the following program. After my presentation about combined logistics networks, we will be having an open Q&A to answer all of your questions about our network. Then followed by a keynote presentation on the logistics dynamics of COVID-19 and then our 2019 after movie. RW Solutions is headquartered in Hong Kong. We currently have 7 freight forwarding networks that are into industry niches. Our networks are very much focused according to handling capabilities of forwarders, from pharma, perishables, NVOCC and FCL to geographic interests like Africa and the Middle East, as well as our flagship network, the CLN, that handles general cargo. By having specialized groups, our members engage into more meaningful business exchanges, with more qualified networking across various brands. At present, we have over 700 members from 90 countries under the RW umbrella. Combined Logistics is the pioneer amongst the network brands we carry. Now, let me introduce to you who we are. Combined Logistics started in 2002 and currently has 315 member stations, over 150 cities and 79 countries. The CLN network is virtually represented in every corner of the globe. With over 315 proactive and reliable members, every new member has a chance to work with our global agents. I would also like to show you some of the conference group photos over the last few years. Being part of the CLN means that you will work with trusted, screened, and reliable members. Every new member application undergoes a due diligence to screen the company's financial stability, market reputation, sales strength, and length in operation. All members are likewise subjected to the standard code of ethics and guidelines of the network, which must be followed and adhered to at all times. The CLN assures that every member is diligently screened. In addition, the CLN offers payment security for all members as an added layer of security when working within the group. Through our annual conferences, we provide an added benefit for members to meet one another and further enhance their business relationships within the group. Meetings are set up through our face-to-face scheduler, CLN's meeting scheduling system, where you can select who you want to meet based on the country and specializations. Since the pandemic, we are also actively adapting to the new normal and conducted our virtual conference last November, 10 to 12, 2020, attended by the majority of the members. CLN is also the first network to distribute its network agency list to global freight forwarding events and its global database. This allows for additional global marketing exposure for all CLN members. CLN has its exclusive information environment, which provides access to exclusive and up-to-date information amongst the members. Just last year, we were able to launch our first CLN intranet mobile app, enabling ease of access right at your fingertips. Thank you for sharing your time with us and attending our Familiarization conference. All right, I hope this gave you a little bit of an insight as to who we are. We would now be opening our session to some Q&As. If you have any questions, you may direct them to me directly for any issues you may want to learn about on the CLN. To get this going, maybe I can ask you a question. Have you attended any freight forwarding events in the past, and what was your favorite, or how was it? Basically the events, the conferences of networking companies are the most important element of any network, because it's very important to meet face-to-face as freight forwarders. We know that it's a person-to-person business, and people like to do business with one another. So this is a very important component. How do you do background check to your partners? So one of the ways to do background checking is through the FDRS modules, local associations. So whenever you work with another partner, it's important that you approach the local associations where possible, and checking up the company names online, or even the persons in charge, and see if there are any records about them. And also recommend, of course, checking on how long a company has been in the business and if they're truly a registered agent or not. So this type of background work we do for our members, on behalf of our members, so that we make sure you work with the most reliable agents in all parts of the world. So how much credit are you providing to your partners, right? How do you protect yourself? Well, many times we give each other credit that's not really clear, and that puts all of us at risk. We don't know if we can trust a partner, of course, and yet we are always supposed to give everybody credit. Unfortunately, this is how the business is nowadays, but we have as a network a payment protection in place, and it is our tool to protect our members, to give potential protection of any kind of credit risk. This is also one of the reasons why many companies decide to join or decide to be part of a network, right? These would be the typical, let me say, 3 most important questions that we are being asked on a regular basis. Feel free to ask any question if you may have. You direct them to me. I'll be happy to answer them to you. If not, I will be happy to move on to our... Yes?
Hi, Niels.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
okay.
Karina.
It's interesting to hear that we can find agents by countries and also by specialization.
Yes.
What kind of specializations do you have in your network?
Well, there are the traditional air freight, sea freight, which every freight forwarder, of course, can do, right? But we have quite a large proportion of our agents that are into projects business. Then there's also cold storage or perishables business, dangerous goods. Many of our agents are handling DG cargo. So we can provide you with the list of specializations that are available within our group. These would be the most, let me say, common ones right now. Of course, there's a lot more, right? Like valuable cargo or high value cargo, oversized loads, and so on, right? FCL, LCL. Some agents only do FCL. Others are, more into NVOCC. So we have that information available if you'd like to study more about that. Are you into any specific specializations yourself?
Well, actually, we used to have some requirements, for example, for household goods, for high value goods, for project cargo, for pharmaceutical cargo, for cargo which require controlled temperature. So that's why I ask you, because it's better to search for specialization instead of only for country, because we can send requests to, I don't know, to 5 or 10 companies in the same country. But if they don't have any specialization in this kind of commodity, it would be like not so efficient to just send all the requirements to the country. So that's,
yes, understood.
That's why I'm quite interested.
Yeah, understood. Well, when you are our member, you actually have access to our network app, mobile app also, and our directory, which is inside the mobile app, and you can basically sort the list, the members list, according to specializations and according to countries as well, both at the same time. So it gives you a breakdown of, exactly who you can find in which place.
So that's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. You're welcome. Any other questions you may have before we proceed to the next segment? All right. We'll proceed now to the next part of the program. It is a keynote presentation or keynote speech of Mark Miller on the logistics dynamics of the world of COVID. Please play back the video.
Hi, this is Mark Miller, keynote speaker and author of the book, Global Supply Chain Ecosystems. I'm pleased to share with you my insights about logistics dynamics in the world of COVID-19. Logistics underpins the global economy. Logistics is the glue that connects, enables, and empowers the global supply chain ecosystems that put food on our tables, clothes on our backs, smartphones in our pockets, and medical supplies in our hospitals. A $10 trillion US industry that employs hundreds of millions of workers worldwide. The business of logistics is the logistics of business. As COVID-19 wreaked havoc on communities and economies around the world, supply chain risks were brutally exposed. Trade flows became severely disrupted, and the transport of goods became extremely challenging. Logistics is a people-centric business, so coronavirus restrictions have harshly impacted all types of logistics activities. COVID lockdowns trapped people at home. They couldn't get to work. Transport limitations made it difficult for people to travel to work. Social distancing rules restricted what people could do when they were at work. And of course, border closures impeded the international movement of goods. These COVID restrictions limited the availability of labor in warehouses and container ports, and further exacerbated the shortage of truck drivers, which in turn led to delays and congestion throughout global supply chains, coupled with massive, unprecedented disruption to the global logistics sector. Let's explore these logistics dynamics in the world of COVID-19. In sea freight, the shipping lines were very quick to respond, initially idling capacity, then they forcefully limited supply using ad hoc cancellations of scheduled services. This is known as blank sailings. As COVID spread unevenly around the world, the volatility of freight flows completely upset the traditional balance between supply and demand. Delays and congestion throughout the supply chain resulted in shipping containers being in use much longer than normal, thereby delaying the return of empty containers back into the system, resulting in the worldwide shortage of shipping containers. These challenges in sea freight were then further compounded by the complete blockage of the all-important Suez Canal for almost 1 week. The loss of equilibrium in the container shipping sector has resulted in significantly higher freight rates, which are likely to continue through to next year and well beyond. Shipping lines are now engaged in active capacity management, helping many of them return to healthy profits, no doubt much welcomed in this capital-intensive sector, notorious for its boom-bust cycles. In warehousing, the huge fluctuations in consumer demand, together with the postponement or cancellation of production orders, put severe strains on warehousing capacity around the world. COVID-19 vividly exposed the profound interdependencies in today's global supply chains and will redefine the warehousing sector over the medium term. As supply chain resilience moves to the top of the priority list, inventory will no longer be perceived as evil. Many of the finely tuned lean and just-in-time industrial systems will be replaced or supplemented with business models that incorporate buffer inventories and safety stocks. This will result in the need for ever more warehouse space to store the additional inventory, involving both larger warehouses and more warehouses. Other coronavirus dynamics include an increase in the outsourcing of warehouse operations to third-party logistics providers, which will result in a greater adoption of multi-user warehousing and in turn drive the need for more warehouses. In air freight, the widespread grounding of passenger planes also removed their belly hold space, which is used to transport cargo, thereby very abruptly eliminating almost 50% of global air freight capacity. Freighter airlines and charter operators experienced a much welcomed renaissance at shockingly expensive rates, as top priority was given to urgent needs for PPE equipment and medical supplies. Several airlines used their passenger planes to carry freight, with packages of products strapped into the seats. Some carriers went one step further and actually removed all the seats, enabling the whole passenger deck to be utilized for cargo. Whatever the creative solutions offered by the airlines, the cost of air freight has rocketed to record high levels. These high rates will continue for some time because the International Air Transport Association predict that air travel will not fully recover until year 2024. So belly hold cargo space will remain severely constrained. In the meantime, the specialist aircraft conversion companies are enjoying a surge in orders for older passenger planes to be transformed into freighter aircraft. Through the short term, we can expect these rather chaotic logistics dynamics to continue. However, over the medium to long term, perhaps the most enduring logistics dynamics of COVID-19 will arise from the post-pandemic reconfiguration of global trade. Striving to increase resilience and reduce interdependencies, companies will be deploying supply chain diversification and nearshoring strategies such that by year 2025, we can expect a much different landscape, one that is oriented more towards regional supply chains. This regional approach will result in shorter supply chains that increase control, responsiveness, and resilience, whilst also reducing lead times, transport costs, and emissions. The logistics dynamics of these regional supply chains will be felt in three key areas: less miles, more moves, and modal shifts. Firstly, less miles. As intra-regional trade flows increase, the logistics dynamics of these shorter supply chains are that cargo movements will tend to involve shorter distances, as the goods will have less miles to travel. This results in more short-haul carriage at the expense of long-haul transport, which has consequences for the logistics industry, in particular for the intercontinental freight forwarding sector. Secondly, more moves. In this shifting globalization landscape, incorporating nearshoring and onshoring initiatives, the reconfigured shorter supply chains will also mean more moves due to the increased amount of domestic freight movements. Research by Stifel found that when products are manufactured domestically, there are 4 times as many in-country freight journeys compared to when products are imported from overseas. 4 times as many. Great news for local logistics providers. And thirdly, modal shifts. The shorter distances involved in intra-regional trade will also diminish the relative speed advantage of fast and expensive air freight over slower, cheaper sea freight. Within a regional supply chain, the difference in door-to-door transit times for sea freight versus air freight is likely to be just a few days, as opposed to a few weeks in an intercontinental supply chain. We can therefore expect modal shifts, whereby some cargoes traditionally transported by air will, in the context of a regional supply chain, migrate to the much more economical sea freight alternative. The logistics dynamics arising from these reconfigured supply chains will offer more options for ground-based freight transport networks. Many regional supply chains will encompass large contiguous land masses, such as in Western Europe, North America, and much of the Asia-Pacific region. In these cases, economical ground-based freight transport options, such as trucking and rail freight, will increasingly come into play as competitive, cost-effective alternatives to traditional air or sea freight. This is particularly applicable where there are low-friction internal borders, which are typically enabled by preferential trade agreements, such as the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement, or within the European Union, and also in the recently completed China-led Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which links 15 economies across Asia. Talking of ground freight options, the COVID crisis has reinvigorated interest in the new Silk Railroad, which now connects 70 Chinese cities by rail to over 40 cities across 19 countries in Europe. An intermediate option between fast but expensive air freight and cheap but slow sea freight, this long-haul rail freight alternative can transport cargo from China into Europe in just 12 to 17 days, saving at least 2 weeks off the typical sea freight transit time of 35 days, whilst being considerably cheaper than air freight. China Railway is now operating over 1,000 freight trains per month into Europe, representing a 70% year-on-year increase in services. This rail freight option is particularly relevant for manufacturing output produced by China's inland factories, which are located far away from the export gateway container ports on the eastern seaboard. In conclusion, let me summarize the logistics dynamics in the world of COVID-19. The short term will be characterized by market volatility. Air freight capacity will remain severely limited and very expensive. Sea freight uncertainties will continue, intensified by blank sailings, container shortages, port congestion issues, and high freight rates. Over the medium term, we expect a significant increase in demand for warehousing as inventory levels increase throughout the extended supply chain. However, over the medium to long term, the greatest COVID impact on logistics dynamics will come from the inevitable reconfiguration of global supply chains towards a much more regionalized approach, resulting in less miles, more moves, and modal shifts, whilst increasing opportunities for ground-based road and rail freight transport networks. Through to year 2025, the next normal dynamics of regional trade, localized production, and shorter supply chains will represent both challenges and opportunities for logistics freight transport companies, who will need to adapt accordingly in order to survive and thrive, because logistics is what facilitates trade and commerce around the world.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much for your attention. We would like to close off the program with our CLN after movie. This is our last conference that we've had to give you a little bit of a taste of how we organize our events. It's a 3-minute video, and this will be the conclusion of today's familiarization meeting. Please roll the video. Those were the days when we could meet with one another, right? Well, I'm sincerely hoping that those will come back eventually and very soon. Thank you very much for joining our CLN familiarization meeting. I hope you had a great time, and to officially end our program, I would like to know your feedback in today's virtual meeting. We will be launching a quick poll. Feel free to answer it now. It's just, I think, 3 or 4 different questions. And that will give us an idea if this today's familiarization event was useful to you or not. I also would like to take this opportunity to invite you to our second virtual meeting. It will take place in August 17 to 19. This is an opportunity for you to actually meet with all the members. And we will also do actual one-on-one meetings over 2 or 3 days. It will give you an opportunity to really meet with everyone that are part of this group actually, and to explore business opportunities, which is really the meat of any kind of networking event you want to get into, right? So once again, maybe you want to take note, August 17 to 19, we will have the CLN virtual meeting where you can meet people face to face and the members on a one-on-one level. That's it. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening or night, wherever you may be, and see you next time. Bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you so much, Niels.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
You too.